to the Keelhauled podcast. I'm your host, CaptainLogun, and we've got a lot of Sea of Thieves news to cover today, so tie yourselves to the mast and hold fast. Ahoy there, pirates. I hope you had yourselves a good week and a good weekend. I know I did. This week, it is none other than the April Gold Hoarder episode. Today is the last Monday of the month, which means we're going to be sitting down to talk to the Gold Hoarders who were able to join us this month to talk about Sea of Thieves. We've got some really interesting ideas, all the way from are Fort of Fortunes less likely to spawn, some new ideas for world events, should there be difficulty modifiers for world events, and then we went ahead and ranked the world events based on our voting in today's episode. All that and more in this week's episode of Keelhauled Podcast. But before I get into any of that, I have to thank the patrons because they are the ones that are not only in this episode, but they're the ones supporting this content. They are the ones helping pay for the bills when it comes to making a podcast, the software, the hosting, the equipment, all of that, including what I'm using to help get to SOT Fest NA as well as UK SOT Fest. I really appreciate all the support that they give. So let's get their names in here. Thank you to People's Republic, El Cute, Balls, Bam Bam Bagel, Captain Hasco, Chateau Neuf, Super Pack, Zombie Killer, Cloud, Cosmic Johnson, Static Mirror, Davram TV, El Jefe Esteban, Fergatron, Godhammer 6, Trickster, Jabaro 5, Jorby Jorbs, Carl Embo, Kazia the Aficionado, Nightstar, Lumpy SRQ, Evil Morpheus, Xbox Mike 29, Murphy Lives, Mutinous Max, Raja the Brave, Regis Stella, Replicated Flame, Rustbell Kid, Norwegian, Skamelt 666, Captain Dasm, Captain Chonky, TN Professor, Real Big Tuna, Big Bad Pat, Mina Fairy, Captain J-Rat of the Flaming Cold Sore, the Lord Chronologist Deadeye Dre, Hager Owl, Jeff H, Ghost Boy 20, Evil Martha, Peter Miller, Rooski Doo, Thor Von Blitz, and Zam. Wow, thank you all so much for your support. It does mean a lot to me. And again, reminder that we are going to be removing ads as well as the things at the end of the episode for the other shows as I'm moving away from Robots Radio Network and getting rid of the advertising. So no more support links for any of those things. So apologies if you used them, but I know no one did. So don't worry about it. Welcome everyone to the Gold Hoarder recording for April in 2023. Glad to see a bunch of folks here. We have Captain Dasm, who's at the top of the list. Captain Dasm, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Nice to be here.
Glad to have you. Next up, we've got Godhammer 6. Welcome, Godhammer. How you been?
Hey, Logan. How's it going? Not bad yourself.
Good, good. After that, we've got Norwegian. Norwegian, welcome. How you been?
Good. Hope everybody's doing well in here.
Definitely. Hopefully everyone is. Next up, we've got Regis Stella. Regis, how you doing? Morning.
I'm doing good. Doing good. Currently dark outside, but, you know, that's typical pre-winter darkness.
Yeah, you're getting into that winter time, huh?
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Rustbelt Kid. Rusty, how you doing, buddy?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Sinuses are messed up and got a swollen eye, but other than that, we'll get through it.
Do I want to know what the swollen eye's about?
I think it's just pollen and stuff. I think it's just got to me really bad because we went from 80s down to like 40s literally overnight again.
What? What? Yeah.
It's Ohio. It's Ohio in springtime.
Mm-hmm. This is why I live in California, because it's normal. Next up, we've got Static Mirror. Static, how you been?
Pretty good. I made up a commendation for your show. I'm at grade 1 of being the third time appearing on your show.
That's great. I like that. The number of people, man, I'd have to go back and do roll call for every episode that we've done a Gold Hoarder to start working on commendations for folks. Which I think, Regis, you're probably the highest as far as like a commendation for that, huh? You've been in about as much as Mina and Patty.
Yeah, been here since the first episode, basically. Yeah. Well, first episode of the Gold Hoarder one, rather.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, folks, there was some interesting conversation going on before the episode actually recorded. It was nice to kind of sit in and hear some conversation that was going on. I want to bring this up. Static, you had mentioned that you'd been noticing that Fort of Fortunes seem to be a little sparse in your sales. So I kind of want to open this up as just a kind of a forum conversation. Do you want to touch on that and kind of what your experience has been, if I haven't summarized it well enough, and see if anyone else has kind of got some anecdotal evidence they can share to make you feel like maybe you're not alone, or maybe it's time to start sailing with some other folks?
Yeah, so this is just a wild theory, but I took some time away from stuff outside of work and spent a little more time for the last week and a half online. And I've been putting in about 4 to 5 hours a night sailing. And in the last week and a half, I've come across the Fort of Fortune twice. It's pretty upsetting because as me and my main crew, we only have one chest under our belt. And it's just kind of hard trying to get the new chest of fortune when it doesn't pop up at all. And we've kind of come to the conclusion that there needs to be either 5 or 6 ships on a server for this fort to pop. If there isn't 5 or 6 ships, like let's say you got 4 or 3, the Fort of Fortune won't pop within the rotation. And that's kind of what we're coming to on a conclusion as our theory.
So there's some qualifiers for it.
That's kind of what we're getting. And I really hope that isn't the case. I kind of wish that it was like, regardless if you had 2 ships on a server or 6 ships on a server, the fort would still pop. You know, it's just a chance you take that you might be uncontested doing the fort, or you might be greatly contested doing the fort.
So as always, I kind of want to play devil's advocate with stuff because that's kind of my nature. But any kind of data that you've been able to collect as far as like how to tell how many ships are on a server?
Yes. So the way you can tell the server is absolutely full is that the gold Reaper chest will spawn on the map.
The gold one specifically?
Yes. Gold ones do not spawn unless the server is full.
Okay. And any evidence that you can point to for that aspect of
I can help with that one. Actually, I sail with a buddy named Meme Source Rex. He's been on Insiders since the beginning, and he's confirmed that with me several times. The regular Reaper chest will pop up if it's not a full server. The gold one will pop up if it's a 5 or more ship server, is what I've heard.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay. So to kind of open it up, has anyone else been running into situations like this where they've kind of noticed it depends on what the server's like for a Fort of Fortune to pop up?
I have noticed that they aren't spawning as much. I've had to jump multiple servers in order to get most of my Chest of Fortunes going this season. Me and my galleon crew will all just load a galleon into a server until we hear the fort ding, and then we'll go from there. But usually we see 1 a night if we're playing and if we're doing it like that. But sometimes we've been able to get 3 or 4. But it's a long, tedious process. Not really recommended if you want to play an adventure.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. I know I've been running into situations, at least when I've been playing on Xbox only servers. I've been seeing 1 or 2 frequently on the sales that I've been doing. I haven't really run out and not seen one, at least in one night. But then again, I'm typically running around trying to cycle through the different world events. But anybody else notice that there's been fewer that you've been able to go for?
If nobody's running any of the world events, it's going to get stuck and you'll never see one. So it's go do it yourself or check to see if somebody else is doing it, but otherwise you're not going to get one.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Logan. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to echo that. I feel like I've been pushing world events a lot more, so I've been noticing when those swap up. So as long as I'm like working on trying to get to the next one, I've had an opportunity for those to pop up. But what were you going to say, Rust?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's the whole thing about doing world events. You got to get through them for it to get to pop. I was telling the guys beforehand that I think, and maybe I might be a little off base on this, because we haven't really sailed as a crew for like the last week and a half. Unfortunately, some people are obsessed with some of their games right now, and some of us have been gone a couple times. But it seems like historically, when we've sailed, we tend to, we go into it really most of the time with no plan of action. But, once we start working on the world events, we kind of cycle through them. And I like the theory. I hope the theory is not true. I really hope it's not for a lot of people's sake, but I don't feel like we've run into that issue. I think, but we're also on during like prime, East Coast time, there tends to be a lot of people on. A few times we've been on the server, like we've been on, with Patty or Mina, and then we've just taken over that ship, and it's 3 or 4 in the morning on a server, an EU server, and then we can tell like things have kind of died off a little bit, and we're not seeing certain world events and as much. But at least from our perspective, like at least my perspective, I don't feel like we ever run into that very often because we cycle through them so much. So we end up like I swear I hear that dong at least once a night, if not sometimes even twice a night. But like I said, it's also been about a week and a half since we've consistently sailed too, so I don't want to just jump to conclusions on that.
I think that it might also have something to do with just they added in the Flameheart world event back in, so there's another world event in rotation. And then as well, I think that there's been some rebalancing with like the Megs and the other like spawning in stuff. So I don't know if that's a part of this as well. But I think with this season's main focus, especially being those chests of fortune, I think maybe an upped spawn rate on those forts of fortune wouldn't hurt.
It'd be very curious to think that, I know this is kind of like the carrot on a stick right now, but this will be kind of something that is kind of a long-term goal. So I wonder if they haven't messed with the spawn rate because they want those to be highly sought after the way they were when they first came out. They want people to, really try to push through content to try and get folks to try and get one of those to spawn. And maybe they don't want people to feel like this is something you have to get done within the first month of the season being out. Maybe it takes you the whole season.
So they claim that this chest is not always going to be at the Fort of Fortune. They said,
Correct.
They might switch it between seasons. So my only concern on that is, let's say it goes to the Skelly Fleet event. Like that's where you get it. You kill the final ship and then it's within that pile of loot. Does that mean that the Skelly Fleet world event is going to decrease in spawn rate then? Like that's kind of my concern.
Well, we don't know that they've tweaked any of the world events to be like less frequent because of the chest of fortune. So without having confirmation that that's the case, then it would be harder to answer that. It'd be speculative, I guess, would be a better way to go about it.
A couple of nights ago, I started just focusing strictly on world events. I was a small server, nobody was messing with anybody, so I was the one completing them. And I completed 6 world events in a row, and it went, Fort, Ashen Wind, Skelly Fleet, and then it went back to Ashen Wind. So it's random. It's not in an order. It's going to be completely randomized. So I'm curious to see what the spawn rate of that is.
That's been my experience as well. We also, we know that they do want to move the chest, but they really haven't indicated what the scope of that's going to be. I've been joking that they're probably going to put it in the bottom of shrines or the bottom of treasuries. So there's going to be a chance for it to be in treasuries. And they're going to try and push people to whatever is the least done thing to try and drum up kind of activities around that. So like right now it's the Fort of Fortune, but next season it could be a treasury. The season after that, if they go by seasons, it could be Molten Fortress or the Gold Hoarder, Tall Tale. Like we really don't know where they're going to be putting this thing. It could be in vaults, gold vaults for all we know, as a chance to spawn in there.
I like the idea of the treasuries. So they're one of my favorite aspects of one of the season 4 editions. I think they're fun. I think they're a lot more fun than the shrines myself, but I've always been more of a run and gun than a puzzle solver.
That's an interesting aspect because I think I actually like the shrines more than I like the treasuries. But I think that the treasuries feel like they're not quite complete in my mind.
Adding something like a chest of fortune to it would definitely drum up some repeat sailing sessions for that, though. That'd be nice.
Add another bottle quest for them to go down, like they do with the bottles. Currently, the Listerine bottles.
It's so funny to find those on the beaches and then pick them up and then never do anything with them.
Those things are still worth so much money, though.
I don't like puzzles. It reminds me too much of Zelda.
You hurt
Speak
me.
for yourself. I just got Merchant Forager the other night, which is the 50 fruit crates. Done.
Nice. I'm still trying to work on that one.
I don't think I've done any of those ones. That or the animals. I haven't done any of those.
The animals are rough. 500 animals is nothing to balk at. Anyone that has that done, I have to respect.
Also done.
Nice. So, talking about the Chest of Fortune, talking about Fort of Fortunes and stuff like that, I'm curious, do you all want Rare to have it so that it is kind of an accumulative thing? Are you expecting it to be an accumulative thing where it's like if you miss out on getting all of the Chest of Fortunes from the Fort of Fortune this time period when they change it over, you'll still be able to gain access to the livery set that's currently available, and whatever they decide to add in when they rotate it, you'll just eventually progress into that tier of earning those cosmetics with the new placement. So say like it is treasuries, it's a little bit easier to run treasuries. You can run those more often. You can run them on demand. Do you think that they're going to, or do you want them to keep it so that if you don't have the current ship cosmetics for this time period where they have it at the FOF, that you can still acquire those?
I've never been a fan of time limited stuff. I understand it, and I can get behind it to certain aspects, like the Shroud Breaker tattoos and stuff. I'm down for there being time limited stuff. But things like this, where the Chest of Fortune is the draw point, I don't think putting it behind a lock like that would be a good idea. And I do think that increasing the grade is the way that they're doing it is the way to go, because then that way it's just gonna keep drumming up that content for that. And I think the best way to do it is to keep up with it as it's released, though. Too many times I've passed that up and regretted it hard.
I feel like if you put a lock behind it, like obviously, like there's been a lot of time limited stuff, and I personally have gotten a lot of most of it, but I think it'd be kind of disingenuous for Rare to be like, if the spawn rate is as low as some are claiming to be and whatnot, that would be very, very bad, I think, for Rare to be like, oh, hey, we know the spawn rate's low, and most most people, 2%, like the famous 2%, could only get all of their chest, and now we're gonna move it, and now here's a new style combination with the new cosmetic behind it. I think that would be very disingenuous of them to do that. So I would hope they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, big agree. I think and going forward, it would keep a commendation open for people to go for going through, instead of just like it would keep Fort of Fortunes active well past season 9. If they kept it open, not locking it off, which is only a good thing, because fighting at the Fort of Fortunes is wild these days and a lot of fun. So it makes sense to keep it open and available for everybody to get that. Oh wait, I guess if it moved, that
would be the tough thing right there.
Never mind.
Because like if they kept it at the same place, then you're effectively doubling the location of where they would be. It would kind of de-emphasize the carrot on the stick that I think that they're looking to drive with
I didn't think that one through.
Oh, no worries. I been there plenty of times.
What if they're planning on adding a new world event that we don't know about yet?
That's a possibility too. How would you guys feel? I mean, Static, I'm kind of curious your feelings on this, because we're talking about your topic here. How would you feel if they added a new world event to the rotation and put the Chest of Fortune behind it, given the current situation with the FOFs?
I would be greatly excited about a new world event. Not only since there'd be a new world event, it would open up accommodations for that. So if you don't get the chest, unfortunately that sucks, but there would probably be accommodations of completing this event so many times, or killing skeletons if it involves skeletons, or ghosts if it involves ghosts, or anything like that. There's still more accommodations that would come with a new world event. So I love the idea of a potential new world event coming, because it always spices up the game, and putting that Chest of Fortune in there is just kind of the cherry on top of the sundae. So you're still getting the sundae, but somebody might steal your cherry in the process.
Oh, my wife does that all the time, so I'm used to it. I kind of want to bring this up afterwards, but did anybody have any, because I like the idea of a new world event. I wouldn't mind it being tossed into the rotation, but does anybody have any ideas about what they would like to have as a new world event?
I've had a dream of fighting a flying enemy. I would love to fight a big phoenix. We've seen so many cool phoenix motifs in this game. I would love it.
I will speak to that. I think it was in the first year when the game had come out that I had talked about how I wanted to have a giant phoenix or a griffin or something that would swoop down, and you had to use the cannons obviously to be able to capture it. But now you could incorporate the harpoons to be able to hold it in place. But it would be able to swoop down and it would be able to grab the side of your ship, kind of like how you're held in place by the Kraken, you know, kind of shifts the boat around when it wraps you. But with the claws, you would have to use, you know, fire or blunder bombs. You know, you'd have to use weapons to try and do enough damage to the claws to be able to loosen the grip, and it would let go of your ship, and then it would be able to you'd be able to like do that. But at the time, you know, it would also have its big wings. The wings would be like a knockback, so anytime it did a big flap of its wings, anyone that wasn't like holding on to something on the ship, you'd get blown off the ship, and you'd have to try and swim back to it, or you'd have to go below deck, something like that. Anyone else have any ideas, or anyone they want to comment on something like that?
There's no world events currently right now that involve the crawlers, the sea people.
Correct.
Having some type of a world event where like they board your ship, or they're just in an area where you got to fend them off, and then like there's a boss crawler that comes out that will obviously come onto your ship and can cause a lot of havoc and a lot of damage. So your goal is obviously to kill this guy as fast as possible before your ship sinks. I think having some type of a world event revolving around the crawlers would be interesting, because then that would also boost up, you know, your kill count for, you know, crawlers as well.
And that could fit lore-wise with the Siren Queen being, I think, dealt with that new crying chest. But I don't know. That'd be neat to see the crawlers starting to rebel against the sirens. That'd be dope.
So, Godhammer, I know you had a thought, and
Yep.
Regis has an idea that they want to toss in. So, God, what do you got? And then Regis will jump to you.
So we're never getting a Man of War. I've made peace with that, but we could get it in the form of, let's imagine that we're progressed on a little while and we managed to get the Grand Maritime Union stuck into things here. A great world event could be a Grand Maritime Union Man of War that starts at one area of the map, and you have until it gets to the other side to try and sink it, steal its loot. And it would carry, like, one broadside would be the equivalent of like 2 or 3 ships firing at you. And so you would have to try and take down this massive behemoth of a ship to score its score. And I think that would be a lot of fun.
That would be really cool. I like that idea. I want to, we can touch on that if anyone has any thoughts, but I want to jump into Regis's idea since they've been waiting patiently. What do you got, Regis?
Well, I was kind of suggesting, well, now that we have a fully built up pirate port that is Port Merrick, never going to get used to saying that name now, mind you, which is a whole other issue that can have its own episode, mind you. Maybe kind of like a, you know, a defend the outpost kind of world event. Like, you know, an outpost under attack by like either the Reapers, Brethren, or as Godhammer mentioned, the GMU, and you defend the outpost, or in this case, or in my case, Port Merrick, you know, the one that actually has cannons to defend it, for a limited amount of time. And if you successfully the more the enemies you sink, and the more you know, the longer you hold out for, the more chance, the higher grade chance of loot you get. Plus, I just want the outpost to have something like, you know, special, and also Port Merrick to be, you know, have a functionality beyond just, you know, it looks nice, which it does look nice, mind you.
Okay, so we've got Phoenix. We've got a ocean crawler boss. Would you say, Static? Like a big ocean crawler, or just like a ocean crawler it's a more
Well,
heavy duty.
Like the waves of ocean crawlers attack your boat, and then there would be like a new type of ocean crawler that would be your boss.
Okay, so we've got ocean crawler bosses. We've got kind of a attacking the fort style wave based system, kind of like Regis, would you say like a horde based kind of mode?
Yeah, horde based, like, horde based kind of thing.
Okay. And then I feel like I'm missing one. Why do I feel like I'm missing one? Is that all of them?
GMU ship.
GMU ship. Thank you. I was missing one. So of those, I'm very curious. Obviously people are going to vote for the one that they want, but does anyone see one of those happening sooner rather than later? Is there one that you all think we could actually see in the next year?
If something to Regis's idea of guarding Golden Sands, we already have the implementation of the ghost fleets. We have Flameheart's ghost ships all back. Imagine a rare, like, limited adventure type of a situation where the ghost ships attacked Golden Sands, and you could use the cannons to Battle of Golden Sands Part 2.
I was thinking more of the lines of, as the ghost ships are firing on, ghost ships or just any old ship could do, firing on the island, like rowboats, like waves of rowboats carrying like the pirates, like beach landing the island could work as well.
Kind of like when Cursed Sails happened, we got that cinematic that had the skeletons that came to Galleon's grave and erected the banner, something kind of like that.
Well, that and just with rowboats, like in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, when the Black Pearl's cursed crew invaded Port Royal, or Royal, however you say it. Damn you, Fortnite.
Could
How about
definitely see
another
that.
twist on that? So we kind of just like looking at everything that's been going on. What if it's something that pulls us into the Sea of the Damned, and it's a version of Port Merrick in there that you have to attack, since it does have some of those emplacements already on the island?
Could see that as
I
well.
can't find it.
Yeah.
Hunter's Cry shows us they can do that with buildings.
Yeah.
True.
I still feel we're gonna see. Like, I still feel the Grand Maritime Union thing is gonna. It's gotta eventually happen. Like, I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like there's just so many little things in place for that to happen.
Yeah.
But then again, yeah. I mean, I don't even. I'd love to see another world event. Like, at this point, I don't really care what it is. I just want something new. I've come to the conclusion to stop accommodation hunting, stop trying to collect everything, and just have fun with the boys. But the one thing I want to see in the game, I don't think we're ever going to see, and that's just I want something that's more ice and more water, like the Roar. But I want complete opposite. I want it cold and I want it icy. Other than that, I don't. Just give me some kind of event to do. But I do think that Grand Maritime Union would probably be the more likely out of all of those, just given the circumstances of what we have in place right now.
I'm actually kind of surprised that no one's tried to draw upon Flameheart's return as a reason for a world event to come back. We already have the ghost fleets now. Those are back. Him coming back, being resurrected, could bring with it its own world event. I don't know what it would be, but I could imagine something tied to him trying to destroy something else other than Golden Sands.
You could
No
do
pun
the
intended. No pun intended. But I think we're on burnout for Flameheart.
It's
for
gonna happen.
Flameheart. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. Go ahead.
For Flameheart, I like the earlier talk of the Mana War and having multiple cannons, and I think having it be something that could switch between Flameheart and GMU could be interesting.
How do you all feel about Flameheart versus the GMU? Is that a rivalry that needs to happen? The order that the GMU brings versus the chaos that Flameheart lives by?
Oh, I'll fight them all. I don't care. I'll fight them both.
But do you think that they'll fight each other?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can see them fighting each other. I mean, we've kind of already put it in place for him to return. Like, I don't know, he can return as like actual Flameheart, but like if we're gonna do that, like we need to get it over and done with. Like, let's not drag it out. Let's just get it over and done with, and then move on to the next thing. But that's not what Rare's. I mean, Rare's not gonna just get it over and done with.
Well, I think that they want to use Flameheart as like an established character, kind of like the Pirate Lord. I think his return will kind of bring in that figurehead for the Reaper's hideout that not many people really look to from Flameheart Jr. I think he will be the kind of the head at the table that they have down in the Reaper's lair. So I think I think once he comes back, we'll probably see that happen. It's a question in my mind is, do we think that he will see a different side of him when he sees the state of the Sea of Thieves, and he'll focus his attention more on like the GMU if they decide to find their way into Sea of Thieves?
I'm not sure.
So, like,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say like a temporary, air quotes, temporary alliance between like Reapers and Athenas is what you're saying, to like a united front against the GMU is what you're suggesting, Logan.
Potentially. I don't know that I necessarily think that would be the case. I don't always believe that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I think sometimes the enemy of my enemy is just another enemy. So I tend to feel like it would be a third faction that would be instigating its will upon Sea of Thieves, and that would draw ire from both factions. Maybe less from Athena's Fortune, just due to the nature of them. You know, there's one thing about having treaties and taking over like shops at an outpost versus them bringing complete order and stealing resources and trying to plunder the Sea of Thieves, which makes me wonder, like, what value does Sea of Thieves have if Flameheart wants to burn it all?
Yeah, I can see it.
Sounds like a community decision.
Sounds like a real good community decision, actually.
Is it a community decision, or was that decision already made for us and they made us think it was our decision?
Rust, I don't have my tinfoil hat nearby. I'm going to need you to take it down a couple notches.
The first one, maybe. The second one, I think that they had the numbers.
See, that's you guys are like, I really do believe that the community decisions are that, like, I will attest that they have preliminary plans on what they want to do with it, which is how they came to developing what the decision will be between. But I think when it comes down to the actual engagement, they really don't know how it's going to go. And it really does depend on, you know, which side actually does win. Because I've been on the losing side for both community decisions, and I picked opposite sides from the get-go. So if they had a narrative that they wanted to push, it would be interesting that they would let Golden Sands win and then choose to do the polar opposite and let Flameheart get resurrected after.
It's a lot of work to create two separate sides.
They aren't though. They aren't creating two sides. They're just creating the idea of what those two sides would look like and then letting the community decide. It's kind of like, so for example, and forgive me for going on a tangent here, but Destiny has an event every Halloween, and that event has rewards for armor, ornaments, and the cosmetics for it. But about a year prior to that event, they put out tweets and they do posts about like, hey, we're letting the community decide. Do you want to go with robots or do you want to go with monsters? And then whatever the here's the preliminary look of what they'll probably look like. Here's the artwork for it. You decide based on the artwork, and then we'll put in the work for whichever team wins. And they've let the community decide what that is. And then, you know, 6 months to a year later, they've probably got those assets made and implemented and ready for the actual Halloween event. And I feel like that's the same way that Rare goes about the community decisions. They sit down, they talk about what the community decision will be. They draft up the timelines for how long it'll take for each thing, make sure that they're roughly equal so they can implement them in the same amount of time, come up with some preliminary artwork, and then they'll kind of work into their workflow, like, how do we lead up to this community decision? And then when they've got it, they'll let the community decide. And then after that, one of the two sides will get greenlit, and whichever one gets greenlit has 6 months to get their content built and pushed into the game.
You're probably right, but I still like my tinfoil hat.
I know, you love it.
I mean, I'll follow up with that tinfoil hat. Let's just add it as a cosmetic for the pirates to wear.
Oh my god.
Let's go.
I will spend money on that right now.
They already have the banana, why not?
I will spend my actual hard-earned money just to buy ancient coins to buy that hat.
King's Ransom crown? Nah. Tinfoil hat? Yeah.
It'll go
be
great with my
fantastic.
spatula.
That would be
I would
great.
also like to see a top hat put in. to go with my monocle that I like to wear.
Why isn't there a top
I never
hat?
take the monocle off.
Is there a reason Rare has decided that top hats are against the rules? Like, I'm so confused. We even saw in the what was it, the documentary, they had the names, and one of the names had like, you know, nice hat, and it was a little James managed to get a top hat into the title card, and I'm like, oh, this is missing in the game, and I feel upset about it.
Someone
We're
needs to start
missing-
an owl campaign for the top hat.
Oh God.
No more campaigns for stuff I can't handle, muting people for a year and not seeing everything that they post because of one daily request a year. I can't do it.
We're missing the best tie-in for the spatula, and that is a SpongeBob hat or outfit. We'd be perfect right now. See me sitting there at the stove with bananas on it.
I've already muted Grengar because he keeps asking for that stupid obsidian crap.
What is it? The banjo he's always asking for?
Yeah, the banjo. And the bad thing is, I know him in real life for a long time. So not only do I see it like on social media, I have to hear about it every day too.
I'm still waiting for kilts. I would love to have Scottish kilts in here, along with playable bagpipes.
Oh, bagpipes would be sick. Oh,
That way I can play bagpipes standing on the front of the boat when I go into a battle.
Sounds like when Sea Beast came out, someone else posted that exact thing, just like, Sea of Thieves, put bagpipes in.
it might have been hilarious actually, because I know Hilarious and I were both like really, really up for Sea Beasts because that was such a good movie.
It was.
And just imagine how good they'd sound if completely wasted on grog.
This reminds me of So I Married an Axe Murderer. I put it
I
down.
hope Rare's listening to this right now, just so they can hear. This is how you make money, guys. For this right here.
You want to make
Fantastic.
cash? Let's make
He will
cash.
buy a tinfoil hat for $15.99. Let's do it.
Yeah, got it. So okay, so bagpipes, kilts, tinfoil hat, SpongeBob outfit. Those are all the easy wins. That's the low hanging fruit that you guys can put into the game that will get our money, and I guarantee it will not just be us. Many others will be going in for it. We're kind of squeezing in here towards the end of the conversation, but with the last chunk of time, probably the next 15 minutes or so, I wanted to talk to you all because we've been talking about world events, and I kind of like the idea. I actually think that all of them would actually be really cool to bring in. I don't see one over the other, just because I think for one, GMU, the big ship, that's a huge amount of resources that they'd have to work out. The ocean crawler thing is definitely out there. I could see that working out really well. I would like them to build different boss mechanics other than the ones that we already have with the skeleton lords and the ashen lords, so that it's a breath of fresh air to see another big boss. So that's definitely possible. The horde, the ghost fleets and like docking the rowboats and stuff and skeletons, I'd be curious to see how that works given the AI design of how the animations work for skeletons, since they pop up out of the grounds instead of like traversing from rowboat to dock kind of thing. And then, gosh, I feel like what am I missing? What was the other one? Phoenix. The big Phoenix, I think, would be fantastic. That would be a huge endeavor. And they would have to kind of bleed in some teases about how the heck that thing even arrives in Sea of Thieves before we really got that. So we might start seeing more teases about that beforehand. But man, I would love to have that.
They do have a tease for Phoenix at one of the, I think it's one of the fishery trader places out in the Roar. If I'm right, it's the Roaring Traders, but he talks about a big flying creature that burns ships down.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But I also believe he's absolutely out of his gourd when he's talking about that. But he's out of his gourd the way, what is it? Paul, I think, is either Peter or Paul over in the Shores of Gold, or not the Shores of Gold.
It's Peter.
Peter.
This is my friend Paul.
Yeah.
Say hello, Paul.
Invisible parrot. So I have a feeling that the folks over at the Sea Posts, with maybe like the exception of well, I don't know, Suds is kind of out there too.
Eleanor would probably be the best trader. That's probably not crazy.
Yeah, I feel like Eleanor is probably the one that's got her head on her shoulders. The other one is the one over at the Finest Trading Post. I feel so bad for her because I don't think she wants to be out there. But she's got her head kind of squarely situated on our shoulders.
She's my all-time favorite.
Oh, really? Does everyone have a favorite? Do you guys have like a one that you prefer over the other ones when you're out and about?
I prefer Brian.
Oh, sorry, guys.
I prefer Brian at Brian's Bazaar.
I'm with you, Brian. If I'm going to pick one, I'm going to go to Brian.
Really?
Rachel at Finest Trading Post, just because I feel so bad for her, but it's also deeply funny to come up to somebody who's manning a sea post, but it gets horribly seasick.
Got to be the chicken lady. Would you like to? What does she say? Would you like to buy chickens or something?
Oh, are you talking about the?
That's the merchant at Daggertooth.
Yeah, and it always tells you
she's the best.
Mind the snakes. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, that's her.
I'd have to. At least of the sea posts, I'd probably have to go with Eleanor. Just because she's got the sweeping red hair, and she's out in the middle of the roar. She's just kicking butt.
And she's got the jokes.
She does. She does have the jokes. They're good ones. They're jokey. Okay, so we got sidetracked on that, but as far as the question that I posed out there, I wanted to see if we could rank the different world events like 1 through 8, because I figured Kraken and Meg should be included in this as they were actual like updates and stuff. But I figured I would type out in chat the different world events, and if you guys want to react to the one that you think is the best, and then we'll kind of like go based on numbers from there. So I'm going to do Fort of Fortune. We'll do regular Skull Fort. We'll do the other ones. Ghost Fleet, Ashen Winds. What am I missing here? Skeleton Fleet.
Fort of the Damned.
Fort of the Damned. We'll do Kraken after that, and then Meg. So each of those is posted in chat. If you want to pick your favorite one and react to that one, we'll start to kind of break down like of this group of the 6 of you who all vote for the one that is your favorite. We'll kind of base it off of that. All right, Static. You picked Meg, so before you have to go, do you want to jump in and say why you think the Meg is your favorite?
Yeah, I just love the thrill of a hunt. The big creature that's the size of your ship. I just really enjoy it.
That's fair. I don't blame you. I actually really love the Meg as well too. Okay. Are you going to have to head out before I can move on?
Yeah. So I'll just say a couple things quick before I disappear. One, if you want to help out this very mediocre pirate, which is me, at PvP, just come find me. I will gladly take all the help that I can get. And 2, to go off of your tease for the Phoenix, a good tease they could do is random giant feathers laying around on islands.
Ooh, I like that. Oh,
I like that idea. I'm going to leave that tinfoil hat right there, and I'm going to disappear. You all have a good night.
Thank you, Static. Everyone, we're going to keep going with the rest of our list. So of the 8, we had 1 vote for Megalodon. We had 1 vote for Fort of Fortune, 1 vote for Skull Fort, 1 vote for Ghost Fleet, and then 3 of you all say the Fort of the Damned. So I haven't looked to see who clicked on what, but I would like to call up the person who said Fort of the Fortune or Fort of Fortune. Why is that your favorite?
I don't know. I just have fun. I don't know. As a crew, you know, whether or not we're battling a bunch of other ships, whether or not we're just slamming through it real quick by ourselves, or whether or not you have 2 of us just hiding out on the fort and stealing it. I don't know. It's always something different with the Fort of Fortune. And honestly, like regular forts, you know, whatever, they're just so quick and so easy. I mean, Fort of Fortunes have become just monotonous and easy too, but it seems like every time it's something different. And honestly, for me, the Fort of the Damned, I've just done it so many darn times that I'm just tired of it.
That's fair. All right. So I'll skip over the Skull Fort because I picked that one, and I'll go after that. But who picked Ghost Fleet?
That was me. I just like the Ghost Fleet just because it's a fun exercise of naval combat. Also, it's sort of fun to try and run people into the Ghost Fleet and try and fight them in the middle of the Ghost Fleet. So I had a great fight with a Brave Vanguard sloop one time in the middle of the Ghost Fleet. It was a lot of fun.
Nice. I see where you're coming from that. I actually really I miss Flameheart's head being up there yelling at me, honestly.
Oh God, no, not that.
Yeah.
No, just the Ghost Fleet part.
No, yes. I miss Flameheart, honestly. I didn't mind him that much. I thought it was entertaining. Okay, so I will talk about the Skull Fort real quick. Honestly, it's the best thing I can do as someone who loves the solo. I love going onto Skull Fort. It's low stakes. It's high loot. It's to the point now where you can knock it out in a good 30 minutes easy. And I love that. I love that fact. I love that it's out there and that no one really expects anyone to be there. I think that's the other thing is that, no one's ever like looking at a Skull Fort and being like, oh, I bet there's someone working on that. Let's go steal it. It's like, it's another Skull Fort. It'll cycle out. And meanwhile, I'm over there like knocking it out real quick, just profiting. So I really love those. All right. So we've got Captain Dasm, Norwegian, and Regis. You all went for the Fort of the Damned. So I would love to get an idea of why the Fort of the Damned. What is it about that makes it so special for you?
I'll start. The fact you can activate the Fort of the Damned makes it a plus in my book.
Oh, okay. I see that. Anything else about it that you like?
The fact you had to get certain colored all the colored lights, excuse me, to activate it, as well as a ritual skull. Though nowadays you could just find a Skull of Destiny and just do it that way. So, and I think it was also the first world event that allowed you to fight a skeleton lord before they added skeleton lords to the Skull Forts.
It's true. Very, very true.
Yeah, that is cool. Norwegian.
All right. Between Dasm and Norwegian, which one do you want to go next?
It's the Fort of the Dam. It's the Fort of the Dam.
Of course. How
great.
dumb could I be?
There's always something that's going to happen. It drives the engagement. It's so many different stories for me has happened at that location, just from I'm running it, we finish it, and someone pops up and goes, hey guys, thanks for completing it for me. I needed the accommodation, and runs away. It's so many different engagements has happened there that it's got to be my all-time favorite. It's a world event on demand. I don't have to wait for it. I don't have to wait for it to cycle. We can do it when we want. We can go grab that disco ball skull and start it up now. It's great.
That's a real strong points there, honestly. Maybe I need to go and tuck over on Fort of the Dams for the completion. Dasm, first time here, last time talking. What do you got as far as your reasoning behind the Fort of the Damned? Is it the same as everyone else?
It's a lot of the same reasons from Norwegian. But there's also a lot of possibilities with it. Yes, you can activate it, which leads to a lot of potential. Yes, you can run it as in demand, or you can use it as a trap. I've done it. It's so much fun. You take the kegs after you set it up. You get the kegs onto your boat. You sail away. You have your buddies start the fort. Someone's gonna come sailing. You take your rowboat. Take those kegs. You go meet them. Have some fun. All kinds of stories you can have from that, like Norwegian was saying. From Tucker's just staying there, Tucker's fighting it. It's a distraction when someone's trying to do a Fort of the. It's like, oh look, we're at a FOF. Someone's doing a Fort of the Dam. People are going to go mess with that for sure. So it's just more attention away from you. There's a lot of potential with it, and overall, I've had a lot more fun doing it than doing any of the other world events. I can do Ashen Winds. I can do Skeleton Forts. Fort of Fortunes are crazy right now. I've had plenty of amazing fights. I've had plenty of crushing losses, but it's what it is.
That's fantastic. I love the perspective that you guys have on it compared to what I see, because usually when I see a Fort of the Damned, it usually means to me that someone's going to be busy working on it, so I'll get to go work on stuff outside of it, and I won't get bothered as much because people are going to be bugging with that. So I actually don't think of it too much as like something that's fun to go do. I usually think of it as something like, oh, I'll get to go work on, vaults and not have to, or I can go work on treasuries and not have to worry about someone coming on me because there's a Fort of the Dam or going. So people are going to be busy with that, fighting over those. Well, with that, did anybody have anything else they wanted to bring up? This is the last episode of the month. It's the patron episode for April. Any topics that you guys were thinking about bringing up before we kind of close things out?
I will say that I did do the Ghost Fleet, and they changed it recently with the most recent patch notes, and it is a lot easier. Like, maybe way too easy, just a little bit. Because it took one decent broadside from our galleon last night, and we murdered the Burning Blade, and it wasn't even close to a challenge. So maybe a little too easy. I think maybe that if I could change that little change in the last patch notes, I probably would change it back. But that's just me speaking.
I'm kind of curious. I saw an interesting question post to the SOT podcast, which I usually keep an eye on for personal reasons, but also because I know that's where a lot of folks tend to go when they want to get their questions out on the podcast. And I saw this post come out, and it made me really wonder why we don't have a difficulty system built into Sea of Thieves. How do you all feel about the idea of being able to queue up for world events, say at like a Fort of the Damned style thing, but for regular forts, to where you can go in for a harder version, kind of like how you can go in for a version of the hourglass fight. If you're a smaller sized ship, you can queue up once you hit a certain level. Or like the number of wins that you have, you can queue up for a larger sized ship and add that challenge to it. How do you all feel about that, but for world events?
I don't even know how you'd even go about implementing it. Like, where would you start with that?
Well, okay.
I would say roar would be a good way to approach it. It could be a modifying item that you use. If you've got like Captain Douglas's skull, or you buy a voyage, not unlike the Fort of the Damned Skull, and go to any fort and be able to activate a harder fort that is somewhere between a skull fort and a Fort of Fortune.
That would be interesting.
That's a curious idea, actually.
Yeah,
using the ritual skull and the Skull of Destiny in the same way as a Fort of the Damned, but on regular forts. Okay.
And that way, it's because they'll have like an easy version, or a version that is accessible to those that don't have the time to be able to put in for a harder challenge, unless that's what they're shooting for. They want that challenge, and they're willing to bring on that people. So kind of like an on-demand Fort of Fortune, but nothing that's scaled for them. It's scaled for like a higher sized crew, but they want the challenge, and it's on demand.
I'd be interested in exploring that more in depth. Yeah, it sounds interesting.
The Skull of Destiny itself being the exact same as a ritual skull with added benefits, it already should be the scaled item. Put that in, the event should be harder.
Anybody have any other anything that they have like as an idea? Because I was thinking, say you have well, I guess I'll just stick with the Skull of Destiny, something like that, and you drop it into the water, or like over by a fleet area, like there's an area that you can go to, and you just have to be within this little murky pool of water, and you drop the skull goes into the water, it sounds a horn, and then a ship fleet that is a more challenging ship fleet with better loot spawns, and you have to worry about taking on that fleet. Thoughts, ideas? Anyone? Good, bad, dumb?
I like that idea. Then you just have to worry about like a drop zone, but I do like the idea of like spending the Skull of Destiny like you would spend it at a fort. It's just, I like the idea of that, where it would upgrade the world events. There would just have to be some way to make that work.
Yeah, I leave it up to the team at Rare to work out the logistics and engineering aspect of it, but I like the premise, kind of like the idea of if you had, say you just had a foul bounty skull. You could go to an Order of Souls person, or you could take that foul bounty skull and bury it with X item, and with that X item, say like something else that you find, you bury it, and then that gives you a treasure map that then transforms into a stronger type of treasure. So you can kind of like try and tier up your loot. And so say you get like a Skull of Destiny, you bury it and a skeleton captain spawns, and you can choose to, unbury it and get your item back, or you can kill a skeleton captain, which will then drop a bottle quest that gives you a better voyage, something to kind of give you a way to progress something beyond what it normally would be if you were to just have that regular item. Anyone like that idea? Am I just stretching at this point?
Sounds good. Go ahead.
I think that's a great idea, actually. Yeah. To like on demand make world events more difficult. Yeah, I think I like it.
Awesome. Anyone have any other thoughts that they wanted to bring up or anything they wanted to touch on as we kind of like starting to close up now?
I don't think I do. I know I've been having a lot of fun listening to all this, so it's been great.
Yeah, really good ideas this week. You guys came up with some really good thoughts on different ideas of things that we could be doing better to engage with content, things that would be really fun. I really had a good time today, so I wanted to thank you guys all for coming out. But I guess if we're going to close it up, let's go ahead and go down the list, see if anyone has anything they want to promote or shout out. Starting off with Captain Dasm. Dasm, thanks for coming. Really appreciate it. Glad you made it today. Anything you want to share or say what's going on in your world?
The only thing I've been doing is just posting a lot of paintings that I've been doing on Twitter and Instagram, but that's about it.
Yeah, I saw you posted the Fort of Fortune this today, or no? Yeah, it was a Fort of Fortune.
The Ghost Captain sales, I do believe. Yeah. I posted that recently. I'm working on a friend's sale at the moment. He did artwork for me, so I'm paying him back with a custom set.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. I could have swore I saw you posted a clip today, though.
Yeah, I post clips all the time, though. I didn't count that.
Okay.
Oh, God, no. I was fighting a Fort of Fortune. Oh, this is fun, too. I was fighting that Fort of Fortune, and I didn't even get the Ashen Lord to his first knee, just sword lording him down, and he just dies.
That's so weird. And now,
It was.
and you were there from the get-go?
Yes, we got there, we started it, we took everything else down, we started fighting him, and yeah, I one-punch manned him somehow.
It's so strange. I was watching that, trying to understand what the heck was going on, because I haven't run into that, but it definitely looks like it was like...
It's happened to me twice.
That's so strange.
I have another clip of a different one.
I wonder if there's a glitch going on with it, like maybe something with the sword lunge is like triggering more damage than it ought to. Like
I think that it might just be since it does a little bit extra damage when he's at that like knee phase, he's kind of regaining health maybe, and you just, I don't know, but he didn't even get to his knee phase.
Yeah, it's so weird. But yeah, no, I love the art that you've been putting out too. I kind of want one of those the hippocampus one that glows.
Oh, okay. No, that's not a problem. I can get another one of those. I'm actually working on better stencils. What I've been doing is painter's tape and the X-Acto knife. It's not the best on the canvas.
Wow, that is time consuming.
Yes.
Oh my God. Well, awesome. And just to kind of give folks an idea, if you wanted to go check these out, head over to CPTDAZZEN. And I'll have a link to your Twitter on the show notes in case folks want to go see the different ones that you've been doing.
Of course. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. We've also got Godhammer, who is joining us. God, anything that you want to shout out or anything that you've been doing lately?
Nothing to promote. I am going to shout out the Sea of Thieves support team who took a look at the video I sent of the three people who decided to spawn camp my friend's sloop toxically, and who sent me a message earlier this week that said one or more of them have been banned permanently. Rightfully so, because my sloop partner and we can take it, but if it had been a new player, that would have instantly turned them off this game. So to the people working the Sea of Thieves support desk, kudos to you. You're all doing fine jobs.
Oh, that's so good to hear. I remember you posted in the tavern talk about that, and I was like, oh, victory. Sweet, sweet justice. Alrighty. Who's up next? Norwegian, anyone that you want to shout out or anything going on in your world you want to share?
The Sherpa program, always. It's a great group of people. Everybody in this community that you've created is absolutely wonderful, but don't be afraid. If you have something that you need to work on, hit up the Sherpas. All of us are more than happy to help you.
Yeah, definitely. Sherpas are doing a good job. I think I just saw, someone was like so close to Pirate Legend. Just the newsletters is almost Pirate Legend. I don't know if anyone got a chance to sail with them yet to help him get that last little bit there.
We got him to 49, I believe, on Merchant. I think he has Gold Hoarders done, and then he's at 48 for Order of Souls.
By those last levels. get him that 49 in the Gold Hoarder or not Gold Hoarder, Order, and then just get those last 2 levels, man. Just buy them.
I always forget about that.
I know I do. I haven't thought about it in a long time. But yeah, if you get them to 49, totally just have them go buy those last 2 levels and get that Pirate Legend. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. Regis Stella, anything going on with you?
Yeah, just another one of those Regis Stella, the Pirate Brony, who sponsors a Sea of Thieves fanfic. And this time we have yet another Sea of Thieves My Little Pony fanfic called Coves of Courage, by Amethyst Dawn.
Carnage.
Coves of Courage.
Oh, Courage.
Courage.
Gotcha.
Yeah. On the rolling waves where sails unfurl, 2 ponies must plunder a strange new world.
Interesting.
Kind of a fish out of story kind of thing.
Oh. Right.
Which, yes, yeah. And I think they were inspired by me, but I don't know.
Nice. There you go. Inspiring other people to make art. Hell yeah. That's fantastic.
I never know. They haven't directly said about me, but I like first chapter's like, oh, this sounds familiar, and the guy was like, you should know.
That's awesome.
They're like, oh yeah, you know me. Yeah,
that's great.
Yep.
I love it. I love that you're doing it. I love that you're committed to it. It's fantastic. You've been doing it for years at this point. And then last but not least, since Static Mirror had to dip out, Rust Belt, Rusty, how you been doing, man? Is it I know the weather's been bad, but you got anything going on? I know you're still out there riding when you can.
Yeah, not much going on. I was streaming a lot there. I kind of slowed down because a lot of stuff going on in life and whatnot.
What are your Call of Duty buddies saying about that?
No, honestly, I haven't even been playing video games a lot lately. Spending a lot of time with my wife. We're in the midst of possibly trying to have a kid and stuff. So we've been busy with going to the doctors and doing all kinds of other stuff and working a lot. So, but I am going to get back on streaming a lot more because I do enjoy it and it is fun. So for the few of you that actually watched it, I apologize. I know 2 people reached out and was like, hey, where you been? Well, life. So, but other than that, things are good. Haven't been riding either one of the bikes much this year for various reasons, but did just order a bunch of new stuff for the bike. So I will be putting that on in the confines of my garage when my wife's not paying attention because she doesn't know any of it was ordered yet. So yeah, other than that, we're good to go. Everything's good. Everything's fine. We're just living the life of a house with 3 dogs and a New Yorker wife that wants to complain about everything. But I love her to death, so it is what it is.
It is mostly your fault, though. Let's be
honest. Most of the time, for any of you that have ever been in the Discord chat, when she comes in and yells at me, most of the time it's for a good reason. So I'll give her the benefit of the doubt on that one.
And Jen's great. I love her. She takes care of you the way that that you need to be taken care of, which I appreciate.
Oh yeah, without her, I probably wouldn't be here. So I love her to death.
Awesome. Well, I know the Ohio weather's been kind of crazy, and I'll actually be over there at the end of June. So we'll definitely.
Yes. Everybody that's coming to the old Fest of Legends, I'm be glad to get to actually see some of you people in person.
I know. I'm so looking forward to it. Oh, I can't wait.
I don't know if Hefe and Tennessee are looking forward to staying in the same building as me and sleeping at night.
Mm-hmm,
but we'll get through. I think we'll be fine.
You know what? I'm sure they're smart guys. They'll be protected. They'll have some sort of, they'll have some sort of, like weapon nearby in case you start pushing yourself on them. So don't worry about it. All right.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing everybody.
Yeah, me too. It'll be good. It'll be good to actually get to meet you and everyone else. I think that's it. Fam, we made a podcast today. Thank you all so much for joining me. It was such a good time. I am probably going to be putting this out for patrons on Sunday. And then I think it'll go live for everyone else on Monday if everything works out. And I have some news that if you guys, for those of you that engaged with the survey that I did, I really appreciate it. But the ads are being removed for everyone. I'm taking the ads out of the podcast. I'm also pulling out from the Robots Radio Network So I won't have any more stingers at the end of each episode for the other shows. I do love those other shows. I think they've done a great job with their stuff. But I'm getting back to basics. So if you are listening to this and you didn't hear about it, so patrons, that one ad tier, the ad-free tier will be there. I'm going to be changing the verbiage to just supporting, since the value add obviously is being taken out. But it's going to be easier for me to remove or to not have to worry about ads and links that don't work and stuff like that. So good news for those of you that are still listening to the podcast, even if you're supporting and you didn't want to have to go through Patreon to get the news feed. And I think that's it. All right, Pirates, that's going to do it for this episode of the Keelhauled podcast. Thank you to everyone who came by for the recording of the episode. I did want to shout out that there are 2 new reviews. One of them is over from the Great Britain iTunes. And so thank you to Wave Runner, who gave us a 5-star review saying, amazing. I'm relatively new to the seas, and since listening to this podcast, it has taught me now how tight-knit this community is. Very enjoyable. Keep up the fantastic work. Thank you, Wave Runner. I hope you're having a good time out on the seas. Remember to have fun and don't worry too much if you happen to lose loot. Also, we got over on the United States iTunes podcast a 5-star review from Director Doge 5, if I'm saying that correct, hopefully. The best. This is the only podcast I listen to. Thank you so much. Remember, if you guys enjoy this, it really does help with the analytics for reviews. They're not necessary. They're not something that's required, but for the sake of discoverability, it always does help. And I did see that we actually we went up to some of the rankings actually in Norway as well as Turkey. And just nice to see that folks are enjoying the content across the world, especially in places that I didn't really anticipate. So like the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. So anyway, Pirates, thank you all so much for your support. If you want to get a hold of me, there's plenty of ways to do that. Head over to Twitter at CAPT_LOGUN. You can always email the show at CAPTLOGUN@gmail.com, or you can join the Discord and talk with some of the other pirates going on there. Get involved with the Sherpa program if you'd like to get some help hitting Pirate Legend, or if you're just looking to learn how to play Sea of Thieves in different ways. Plenty of good folks out there looking to help. And Pirates, with that, thank you. I love you, and I look forward to sailing with you on the Sea of Thieves. Please try to keep anything at a and above out, and that way it just saves me from having to put in meows in the podcast. So appreciate it in advance.
I love those meows.
The meows are fun, but it's usually when it's like a one-off slip, and it's usually Rust Belt's fault. So the fewer meows I have to edit in, the more I appreciate. Thanks, Rust. I appreciate it, man.